Hey everyone, this is Rabdia's blog Animation Bliss, and welcome to the top 10 most anticipated animated films for 2020. But before I get into this, here is a word from our channel. Hey guys, if you want to check out more content from this channel, then tune in every Sunday and Monday for new videos. And if you happen to see any videos posted up during the week, that must mean there was a bit of animated news that we wanted to talk about, so those would be considered special videos. And if you want to chat with us on social media or see when new videos are being released, then follow us through Twitter and Facebook. And also, please feel free to join our new Facebook group, Chat with Animation Bliss, where we talk about animation with other animation fans. And now, we return to our regularly scheduled program. So 2019 was a pretty good year for animation. There was a lot of box office records that got broken, like from Frozen 2, and there were a couple of animated projects that were unconventional for the mainstream animation project and ended up turning out pretty good, like Klaus. However, there were a couple box office bombs that happened last year, like the Playmobil movie and Arctic Dogs, that almost brought the year down, but not by much. So since it's 2020, a new year, that means I get a chance to go down all the animated films that I'm looking forward to the most in 2020. Now bear in mind that these are animated projects that are being released this year, so there's a chance that some of these projects might be pushed back to another year, so keep that in mind. And now without further ado, here are my top 10 most anticipated animated films for 2020. So the Minions Rise of Gru is basically a continuation of the Minions movie, and it has the Minions trying to find a new leader for themselves, which would be in Gru. Now, I have a confession to make. I haven't seen any of the Despicable Me movies, so I don't know much about these characters, but I still put this on the list because I am interested in seeing how they're going to tell Gru's story and how he started off as a villain and how he met up with the Minions in the first place. So that's something I am looking forward to when watching this movie. So this movie is about the Mitchell's family going on a vacation when suddenly the tech uprising happens and it ends up threatening mankind and humanity, and the Mitchells have to find a way to stop the machines from taking over humanity. Now, originally this movie wasn't going to be on my list because I originally had Tom and Jerry at the slot, but Tom and Jerry was being pushed to 2021, so I added this movie on the list because the concept about the Mitchells fighting against machines sounds like a really interesting idea, even though I have seen a lot of movies where the human beings are fighting against the machines, but I am interested in seeing how this movie is going to deal with that concept. So this movie is basically about a young boy discovering a wish dragon, and that's basically the plot of this movie. The reason why I'm really interested in checking out this movie is because 1, it's about dragons, which I really love, and 2, it's going to take place in China. I always love the fact that there's movies that take place in foreign places because I feel like we don't see a lot of animated films that take place in foreign places, and the fact that this film is going to take place in China is really interesting to me, and I can't wait to check this film out and see how they're going to handle the characters and the dragon aspect of the movie. So this movie is basically about a young silver dragon going on a journey with his friends to the Himalayas where they're trying to find the Rim of Heaven. Dragon Rider is another animated film that interests me because it has dragons and it also takes place in another country. This film is actually being made in Germany, which is awesome because I barely see a lot of animated films being released in Germany, and I am interested in seeing how this film is going to deal with dragons overall and how it deals with the Rim of Heaven and the Himalayas, and I am interested in seeing how they're going to deal with these characters and how the animation is going to turn out. Even though this film doesn't really have a plot announced yet, it's about Bob's Burgers. Of course I'm going to check out this film. I always enjoy watching Bob's Burgers because I love the family dynamic between the Belcher family, especially between Tina and Luis, since they're the most interesting characters in the series. And I can't wait to see what the plot of this film is going to be about and what kind of hijinks the Belcher family is going to get into in this big movie. And I also like the fact that we have another adult cartoon finally get its own movie. Like The Simpsons got their own movie, Beavis and Butthead got his own movie, South Park got his own movie, and now Bob's Burgers is getting his own movie. So I'm really excited about that. This movie is about two teenage elf brothers who go on a journey to discover if there's any kind of magic that still exists in their world. So when this trailer was first released, I was a little hesitant about checking out this movie at first because I was like, well, what's the plot of this movie? I mean, we know it's a fantasy setting, and we know that these are about elf brothers going on a road trip, but what is this movie really about? But then I saw the animation in this movie and also the relationship between the elf brothers, and I'm now looking forward more than ever to seeing how this movie is going to play out and see what kind of adventures the elf brothers will go into in this movie. Also, you got Tom Holland and Chris Pratt voicing the characters, so I can't wait to see how they're going to voice the characters and how that dynamic with each other is going to go. So in this movie, a young magician had lost his passion for music, and his soul ends up getting transported out of him, and now his soul has to find a way to get back to his body before it's too late. So when I first saw the trailer for Soul, I was like, what is this movie going to be about? I know it's something about a soul getting out of a magician's body, so I'm wondering how this film is going to play out. But then I saw the trailer for this movie, and the animation for it was fantastic, and it seems like it's going to be like Inside Out, where we see the inner thoughts of a person and see those inner thoughts take on a characteristic of their own. So I am interested in seeing how this soul character is going to interact with all the other souls in this movie and see how this magician is going to get his passion for music back. So I am interested in seeing how that's going to fold out. So this movie is about a young girl named Robin, who's an apprentice in a wolf slayer, and she goes to Ireland to slay wolves with her father. But then she ends up meeting with a wild girl who ends up showing Robin the true nature of the wolves and seeing that all wolves are not bad creatures, and this might change Robin's perspective about wolves in general. So the reason why I'm really interested in this movie is because it has the same animation style as The Breadwinner. I haven't seen The Breadwinner yet, but I did love the animation style of that movie, especially since it's traditionally animated, and I like to see that traditional animation with Wolfwalkers and see just how the plot is going to play out. Also, I like the fact that this movie is about wolves and about magic in general, and I always enjoy seeing movies that take place in Ireland or take place in a foreign country, and I like to see how well they're able to incorporate the Ireland aspects of culture into this movie. Basically, this movie is about a young girl named RAYA who's trying to find the last dragon in the world. So this seems like it's going to be the year of the dragons for animated movies, since almost all the movies on this list have to deal with dragons in some kind of way. But I'm most interested in RAYA and the Last Dragon because of how the style looks and the fact that it's about a young girl trying to find a dragon in the world that doesn't have any dragons anymore. So I am interested to see how this plot is going to play out and how the animation is going to look in this movie. So this movie is about Scooby and the gang trying to stop a ghost dog from releasing the apocalypse on the world, and it turns out that Scooby-Doo has a greater destiny than he originally imagined. So of course Scoob is going to be my most anticipated movie of the year because I am a huge Scooby-Doo fan. I love almost all the Scooby-Doo cartoons that were being released, and of course I had to check out this movie because it's a Scooby-Doo cartoon, it's an animated film for the big screen, and I just had to check it out. I will admit that when I first saw the trailer, I thought it was just going to be an origin story for Scooby-Doo, and I was on board with that because we don't know much about Scooby-Doo as a character or his backstory, and I wanted to see if this movie can flesh that out in this retrospect. But then I saw the plotline about the ghost dog releasing the apocalypse on the world, and I'm like, oh yes, this sounds like a really exciting movie for Scooby-Doo and the gang, so I'm really on board with this movie, and this is my most anticipated animated film of the year. So these are my top 10 most anticipated animated films for 2020, and let me know in the comments down below, what are some animated movies you're looking forward to in 2020? And are there any animated movies that are not on this list that you want me to look into it? Please let me know in the comments down below. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Rabbit Animation Bliss, and I'll see you later.